Hello, everyone, and welcome to another horrific review. Chris and I are back as we discuss Final Destination Bloodlines, directed by Zach Lefkowski and Adam B. Stein. Plagued by a recurring violent nightmare, a college student returns home to find the one person who can break the cycle and save her family from the horrific fate that inevitably awaits them. This movie was made on a budget of $50 million and has currently brought in $102 million at the box office. And as far as I'm aware, it's still rising.
Yeah. So I'm always
Horror
curious.
movies win again.
You can hear the printer in the background, by the way. That's an inside joke.
Seriously?
Yes. But I am a big fan of all the box office stuff. So I did look it up. Apparently it's already now in the top 100 horror movies of all time at the domestic box office in the States. It took the number 99 spot, passing 2005's White Noise and only ranking slightly behind Saw 5. That was as of a day ago, so it probably has even passed Saw 5 at this point.
Yeah, it's only going to go up, let's be honest.
Yeah. Which is great. And it also has a 97 Rotten Tomato score, which is like unheralded for a horror movie.
With this one, I can see it. Like, obviously, we're going to get into it, but
yeah. But it's closing in on the highest grossing Final Destination movie of all time. It only has 2009's The Final Destination to beat, which made 186 million worldwide. And we're probably at like 125. We me and you made the movie.
Yeah,
but
that's it.
But it's probably at like 130 by now.
10%. I've no problem with that. I'm not greedy.
So that's cool, and it definitely deserves it. Like I really enjoyed this one on a lot of different levels.
I just want to say, suck it, sci-fi and fantasy fans. How is it? This is what it looks like to make profitable movies. Up yours.
I like fantasy movies, so that really hurts.
Yeah,
but yes, but you're right.
Yeah, no, they spent 400 million and making it shit, and let's not write any story, and let's call the fans names, and yeah.
Yeah, no, this one had heart, and it had some really interesting twists to the franchise that I really enjoyed.
Do you remember I would have put Final Destination 2 as my favorite, apart from the van scene. That's what really took me out of that movie. Do you remember they tried that convoluted method of tying everything together in the van? Yeah, and it just detracted from the whole movie.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's what took me out of Final Destination 2. This is how you do it right.
Yeah. This didn't call back to any specific character aside from, giving an origin story to Bloodworth, but yet it really tied in all of the previous, variations and stuff like that in a really nice way. Yeah. I did think Final Destination 5 did a cool thing where the whole time you think it's a sequel, and then it turns out it was a prequel that took place before the plane crash.
That was a clever twist.
I did like that. Yeah.
That was a clever twist.
This one did a great job as we get into it. Yeah.
Yeah. But once again, doesn't matter about the special effects. Doesn't matter about the cast. It's the writing. It's the storytelling.
Yes.
You get the storytelling right, everything else falls into place.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the acting in this was anything special, but it was competent. It was competent. I would call the acting competent, and the story though is what kept it going. And like I felt like the movie went by like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
this was a little longer. This is still like an hour 40 minutes or something. Like it wasn't just your 90-minute movie.
It felt like a 45.
No, in fact, this is apparently officially the longest running time. So whatever that was.
Yeah,
I didn't notice. I didn't feel it. It didn't feel like a 2-hour movie.
No. And you know what I thought was good? They avoided some of the repetitive tropes, because now this is the 6th movie in the franchise, and it's easy to kind of do things that were done in previous movies. Like, for example, do you notice how there were no police investigations? Because like in 3 or 4 of the previous movies, that was a big thing. The police is figuring.
Well, they did the first one. They tried to stitch up the guy.
Yeah.
Scott, he tried to, freaked out in the airplane.
Yeah.
And they tried to actively stitch him up, and you're like, this is stupid,
Yeah, obviously he had nothing to do with these. I know. And then in the Final Destination 5 with the bridge, there was that cop that's following them the whole time. I mean, I get it from a reality standpoint. Like, it's too many coincidences coincidences you would want to follow the people, but we've seen it in so many movies and it has nothing to do with the storyline. So just ignore it, which they did, which was great. So they made a lot of smart choices like that, I thought.
Yeah, cut away with, okay, what doesn't work? What takes away from your enjoyment? Oh,
Yeah.
it's almost like they're thinking, I want to make an entertaining movie and I want people to enjoy themselves. I know
Yeah.
it's a mad concept in 2025.
Yeah.
Let's make an enjoyable movie for people. But yeah,
Yeah.
obviously they tried, or maybe it was by accident. Who knows?
Maybe by accident.
Yeah. But I like the start of this. I have to say, like going back to the was it 60s or 50s? Sort of had 1950s vibe about it.
Yeah, I was thinking 50s too.
I had
Yeah.
that sort of 1950s
Yeah.
look.
Yeah.
And we were God, I can't even remember their names. Flip sake, but the two main characters anyway.
Oh, Stephanie and I forget the guy's name. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he's basically they're going out on a date. He's managed to blag his way in to this high society thing.
The
Like
Skyview. Yeah.
Skyview restaurant. I was trying to think. There's one of them in Kuwait and there's one of them in Toronto, wasn't there? Like actual tower things.
Yeah, doesn't Seattle have one too?
The
Space Needle?
think so. There's a few of them anyway. Those
Yeah.
do actually exist. And I was trying to think, is this actually based on one? And then I looked it up, but no, it's a fake name. So
yeah,
our one.
I would. You couldn't pay me enough to do. I mean,
Not even the one in Kuwait.
Yeah,
The thing,
You probably
the whole restaurant rotates.
you probably could pay me enough. I shouldn't say that, but I don't like heights and the idea of like looking down with glass and seeing like hundreds of feet below.
Have
Plus-
you seen the walkways in China?
Yes. Oh, that's
Where it's LCD screens, so when you walk on them, they look as if they crack.
Yeah, I did not like that.
Great.
Because I'm a somewhat heavy set man. I have what doctors call a little bit of a weight problem. So the idea of walking over tempered glass of any kind is just not for me. It's not so much that I'm afraid of heights as I am afraid of falling from heights and splattering.
Well, the thing is, it only happens once.
That's
to me,
fair.
the worst thing is if you're not high enough. At least if you're high enough, because I used to be terrified, but I sort of pushed myself through it. Still am a bit, get a wee bit of vertigo if I'm like, it's more if I'm out in the open or feel the wind. I sort of get a wee bit, but you push through it. But if you're up high enough that if you go splat, that's it, game over. You have that sort of, well, it'll happen once and that'll be it over. The one that worries me is if you're not high enough, that basically you get mangled when you land.
Oh, and then it takes a while.
And then you're in a wheelchair, you're in a hospital bed, you're not, you're not actually finished.
Yeah.
You're drinking through a straw for the rest of your life. To me, that'd be worse than just going splat.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a good point.
Or end up in the bottom of a chasm somewhere, bouncing off every rock and lying there for like 3 days, dehydrating as you are in agony. Yeah, that doesn't sit well, but just going splat and being over, I can kind of, okay, I'll go with it.
Here's the question. If you were falling from that height, would you want to go back face where you don't see it coming or face forward where you see it coming?
May as well enjoy the ride.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You may as well just dun, 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 to play the Mission Impossible theme tune in your head.
Colin's final words were "wee."
I think you would, though. I think we all don't know how we're going to act. That's what the whole theme of this movie is, anyway. Like facing death or the inevitability of death.
Yeah.
We all really, when it comes down to it, we don't know how we're going to act. We can say we'll do this, that, and the other, but when that moment comes, we could either be at peace with it or be terrified, cling on for that last bit of life. Because at the end of the day, we're animals. Our survival instinct is paramount.
I don't know for sure how I'll act, but I have a feeling based on the evidence that I've shown during my life, and it's going to involve a lot of crying and pooping. It just seems like that's it's trending.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But you never know. You could be the stoic one.
Oh, that'd be great.
You could have that just moment of absolute pure bliss as the endorphins or something rushes in and just, this is cool. This is the end. Oh, well, I've tried.
I hope it's something heroic. you know, because I feel like that'll make up for a lot of like mistakes I've made in my life. Because you can't be like, oh, that guy was a dirty cheat, or he was horrible, a bad parent, made a terrible decision. But you know what? He jumped in front of that bus to save that kid. He's a good guy. You know, I'm hoping for something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I want done what I want. What I want to achieve in life done. You know, of certain things I want to get done over the line, set up, and then
Yeah,
I'd be happy with a just nice quick heart attack. To be honest,
yeah,
I'd just be happy that right, both done.
gotcha.
Haven't
Got
lived a fulfilled life. You know.
Would you want any advance notice that it was coming? Have like a
No,
crazy
as long as
last
I have my
day?
affairs in order, that's the thing.
You wouldn't want to have like a crazy last day, knowing like the next day it's coming.
Nah, I wouldn't,
That's my
because I'm just
printer.
not. I'm too old now.
That's my printer again.
Yeah. That is fantastic. That's why we're a couple of minutes late, because we're just waiting to.
I was trying to print my notes and the printer wouldn't work. And we said, as soon as the stream goes live, it's going to start printing 100 copies.
But yeah, we got this Skyview restaurant. And you just, it's almost steampunk. You know, it's all the like clockwork stuff and the old time mechanisms.
Yeah,
I love the way they made it. It looked really good.
it
All the
was cool
mechanisms.
looking. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, they finished 5 months ahead of schedule, which, as
That's always good.
that's Stephanie pointed out, is that a good thing? No,
Yeah.
it's
Do you
not.
think there might have been a few quarters cut? But the
Yeah.
thing is, what construction world ever, construction companies make money by going overtime and charging more, going over budget. They never finish early, because that's just not the way it works. But yeah, that would be
Yeah.
red flags immediately. Oh, we didn't bother with the safety checks. Let's just do it. Yay.
Yeah. I feel like there's some truth to like whenever you're building like a type of structure that hadn't been built before. Like if this was built in the 50s, I imagine even in this fake world that this was the first of its kind. Like there's always going to be, you know, mistakes because you have no template to base it on.
Mhm.
That's why like near where I live, all the houses are cookie cutter. They all look almost exactly the same because it's cheaper to do it that way and there's safety in just repetition.
Yeah.
So whenever someone tries to do something that's architecturally, that's not the word, but it's a different type of construction, there's always going to be some risk. So it's kind of believable in a
Yeah.
way.
But then again, is not the whole point. This is the problem with today. Everyone's so risk adverse. But this is how you don't get great structures. You don't get monuments that stand the test of time if you don't take risks.
Hey, you got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet.
Yeah, that's it. And a few eggs were definitely cracked here. But yeah, just even the elevator scene, for flip's sake.
Yeah.
Capacity, and everyone's like cramming in. It's like, right, first of all, it's supposed to be high society, you know, which I don't understand. It's like, use crack on. I have no interest in hanging around snobby people. No interest whatsoever. I understand he's doing it as a treat, and the reasons behind it, you know, he wants to propose to Stephanie that, yes, he wants to make it special, be part of this event, get it, but there's no way on this earth have I any desire to hang about with those sort of knob ends. And this is so true, right? See, the higher up in society, the less manners you have. So the fact that they're all cramming into a lift like peasants, you know, I mean, they always look down and, oh, look, the peasants. Peasants have manners.
Yeah.
Normal working people have manners. It seems to be the bigger the silver spoon that was in your mouth when you were born, the less like just basic courtesies you seem to have. And these people are proving it just by acting like absolute idiots. It's all shoved in. It's like, the thing isn't going away. Yes, you weren't the first whatever up. That'll have already been prepaid. You know, even the higher society, you know, you're not in that club. Calm yourselves down. But
yeah, a great example of that is the Mater D. How rude he was to the guy, and they fired someone that morning, and he was just a jerk about it. You know, like it's one thing to say, I'm sorry, you're not on the list, and the person who told you that you would be able to get a seat is now fired. I apologize. I could put you at the bar or something like that. I'll you know, if you want to wait and see if there's any cancellations. Instead, he was just such a jerk. And it's a great example. Like you said, the higher you go up in society, you do tend to see this a lot. You know, they treat other people as less than human.
Like, and one thing I was always taught is don't step on people on the way up because you'll meet them on the way back down again. That was one of the oldest adages I ever learned. So it's like,
I love that. Yeah.
I don't see the point in that. And I see it in, for example, I see it in YouTube a lot. Once somebody starts to get a bit of traction, they get those shitty little channels, and they might have like 100 subscribers less than the person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they could do shitty little channels. You're like, fuck you, you dick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They probably interacted or something before, but if I ever act like that, make sure to punch me. Just make sure. I just want to see a fist come out the other side of the screen. Don't, you know.
Where is it? This way?
Just bring me. No, hang on. We'll have to. Yeah, I'll have to get something rigged up.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? I don't understand that. I don't understand. It's almost like people think I have earned the right to be an absolute toilet. It's like, yeah, you've got nice stuff, but fuck it, why? What?
Yeah.
Are you really that insecure that you feel like you have to stamp on others? And that's what this whole, Skyview restaurant, everyone trying to be the big dig dong, just shoving anybody down the can, and it's like, yeah, nah, not in that.
Yeah, for sure.
I like the fact that it didn't, like you said, it threw out some of the repetitive tropes. So Stephanie, we don't get her premonition. We're basically going through her premonition this time.
Yeah, that was a fun twist on it, because you're waiting for her to like realize halfway through this disaster, and wake up from it, and instead it just goes all the way through to the very end. So that was a good twist, and then you don't know what's going on because then it skips ahead to 50 years later or 60 years later. So, 70 years later now.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. But it was a fun way of starting the movie. Like, you hit the ground running, and it never really let up in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, just the story really carried through.
Pacing was great in this. That's one thing.
Yeah.
It's a consistent pacing throughout the way. I did appreciate it. That's always another thing as well. Just makes a good story, has a good pace, and you're just going along on the journey. And there's still like, it's not just flashy lights type movie. There's a story.
Yeah.
And it paced well that there's enough excitement, but also even the slower parts for the exposition and the fill you in on the plot don't feel as if you're like going up and then down. You feel as if you're an even pace throughout.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I thought the characters, like, there were no characters that were just asinine or just took you out of the reality of it. Like, there were some people that were a little bit more, aggressive.
Eric
was on the borderline.
Borderline, right there. He was right there.
Yeah. But he pulled it back. He pulled it back just enough, and was fun to have someone that was a little bit more cocky, I guess. You're right. If anyone comes close to being annoying, that was the one, but not as far as some of the other ones. Do you remember like the emo kid in Final Destination 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. No one like that.
No.
Yeah.
Eric could have been him.
Right.
But it's like they took that character and went, okay, that was an unlikable character. How do we make that character likable? And then they made Eric, and it just drew him back enough that that you're on board.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. But the whole scene with the Skyview restaurant just playing out, and the dipshit kid that was throwing the coin that started the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. How did he die?
I know he just fell on splat.
He fell. Oh, okay.
I'm like, yes,
because he did deserve it.
Yes.
That was awful.
And I love the reverence as well. I hate this idea of protected. Oh, we can't do this. We can't do it. No, do it. If you've got them in the shot, everyone. I don't know where it happened in horror, but they tried to do, this one can't go splat, that one can't go splat.
Yeah, kids can't be killed, right? Yeah. Kids, animals. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't like animals. Anything happen, but I know it's fun. I can discern fantasy from reality.
Right.
And then that's something that pushes my buttons. They mightn't push somebody else's. You know what I mean? And that's what the whole point of horror is to make you go, you know,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
that sense of being uncomfortable.
yeah. Just give me 1 sec. I just have to replace my charger so this doesn't die on me. Be right
All right.
back.
Well, you make go to the printer.
I'm gonna shut the printer off too. That's a good call.
You've got a printer. Okay, that's fine. But yeah, I just the whole point of the horror genre is that nothing's safe, and that you don't have. Did Chris just run? Bloody hell! See if he has see if he runs back and has a heart attack and falls over. Or this is a setup. We're going to see the whole Final Destination thing. Things gonna happen on camera. But yeah, nothing should be safe in horror. You should go into a horror movie not knowing if your buttons are going to get pushed or not. And so many people have so many different things that nothing should be off the table. And the fact that the kid, and he was a dipshit, but normally, like if it was a mainstream movie, the kid, nothing would happen to the kid. But
Right.
yeah, he goes splat. And
Everyone's fair game in this.
yeah,
Yeah. Which is good because you don't know going in who was going to survive. Yeah. No, they make great choices like that.
yep. And then rather than being a premonition, this was a nightmare. That was an interesting one as well. Interesting thing with that as well.
Yeah. Now it's interesting. They didn't really fully explain why Stephanie was having these nightmares all of a sudden. The only thing I could think of is that the mom had the grandma Iris had recently gotten cancer. So maybe the idea was that she's close to death. So now Stephanie is seeing these visions because it's going to be her family next. You know, maybe the cancer is what triggered the nightmares.
Yeah, some way to reach out, or right. So we never talk about the other force. We always talk about death in this.
Yeah.
And them being thwarted. But there's obviously another force at work, yin and yang, balance, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So there's obviously a force for life working against death, because if death was completely in control, or if the natural order wasn't being messed about with, people wouldn't get premonitions.
Right.
So no, that's maybe it'll happen in a later movie. Who knows? But there's obviously another force at play here that doesn't really get touched on, and that's the one providing the premonitions and working against death. Because if death, let's be honest, if you have to suspend a lot of disbelief, because if death wanted to wipe you out, that would be it. There's nothing you can do.
A germ. It could just give
Yep.
you like a one of those bacteria that affect your mind and take you out in one day. Or aneurysm. I mean, a million things. A stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it feels like there are rules that keep death from just being all powerful.
The opposing forces, what I mean?
Yeah.
Death's planned so far, something else is working against it. That's why it has to get elaborate and tricky.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why Iris was able to keep it back for so long.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it seems to be if you're in a more contained area, whatever, it's the other force that works against death can protect you.
Interesting.
But that could be something could be explored in a future one.
Yeah. That's a future theory waiting to happen. I like that. I like that.
But yeah, we've got Stephanie set up. We've got the Aris who we're going to meet. And even Aris's choices make sense in this, because Clear didn't make sense.
Yeah.
I'm so afraid of death, I'm going to lock myself in a padded cell and not actually live. What's the point?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Did they think death was going to did you think death would give up eventually? Like
No, but you know what I mean? If that's your
yeah.
life, if that's the choice you're making, that's a lifestyle. Like, you just to be alive for the sake of it.
Yeah, just to breathe and drink water and eat food, and then breathe and drink water and eat food. Like that's not living.
Yeah. No. It's no point. You may as well not bother.
Yeah.
You may as well just go, step out the front door. It's the same as if you, back in the 80s, we had the threat of nuclear war. And when you do any sort of training or learn about what happens in the fallout, all the nasty things that basically your organs just fall out your arse if you breathe in. If you don't wear the mask or you don't like break the seal once or you rip the suit,
Yeah.
that's it. You may as well just stand out in the front lawn and go, take me now, because there's no point. You're not living.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You're just living in fear all the time and just, in a horrible world. You may as well.
Yeah. My dad always had a good line about that. You know that a nuclear bomb is on its way, the proper technique is to stand up, pull your pants down, bend over, and kiss your ass goodbye.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Because
that was his, yeah.
that's it. There's
Safety tips by my dad.
even if you survive, yeah, nah.
Yeah.
So I'm in that sort of mindset. Life has to be worth living than just existing.
Right. Right.
That's just it. But they give Aris a purpose. But we meet Aris, we meet her family. Or sorry, not Aris, we meet Stephanie.
Yeah.
And her own family's a bit cold, or she's just come back from college or something. She's feeling.
Yeah. So apparently the mom had left the two kids, her and her brother, when she was 10 years old. And you could tell she doesn't have like a great relationship with her dad, and that she used to have a good relationship with her brother, but she hasn't spoken to him in a long time, between college, between not sleeping with these nightmares that she's having. There's just a distance between them, which is sad, but realistic. A lot of families are like that. Yeah.
If you move away from the main hub of the family, you become an outsider.
Yeah.
I'm an outsider from my family because I moved away. It's not even malicious. It's just what happens. You're not part of the daily conversation.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? There's stuff happening all the time. You're not part of it. You're off doing your own things. And even when you catch up, it's more, you do a video call or what, it's a play conversation. How's it going? Blah, blah, blah. The usual.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just natural families. Some are more resentful. It just depends on the circumstances. And I think maybe the mother leaving, Darlene, leaving was it sets things up. But it was good. It was played out nicely. Once again, we didn't get a whole exposition dump.
Yeah. No.
Just played out how it played out.
Yeah, I love the way it was handled. And then when they meet the cousins, that
God.
was I would rather be in Stephanie's family than the cousin's family. That was the opposite extreme.
Yeah,
Like,
that would just give me a headache. Yeah,
yeah.
No.
They're all on top of each other and
in
no
each other's
space.
faces and tripping over each other, and I can't.
Yeah, it was like a college dorm, like the worst part of it. Yeah,
Not for me.
Me neither.
No.
Yeah.
I need my space. I need closed door. I need to recharge. I need to not have somebody yapping in my ear.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's healthy for everyone to have that distance. You need
Once
to
again, it's balance. At the end of the day, we're social creatures. We need, we need to interact. We need bonds. We need friendships. Blah blah blah. But at the same time, it's the difference between being an introvert and an extrovert. An extrovert needs that energy, needs people around them. An extrovert, if you put them in a room on their own, they're crawling the walls and bouncing. They're freaking out.
Right.
Where an introvert's the opposite. And there's obviously everything's to scale. Everything talks in extremes, but you know what I mean? There's different scales of how much and how much can be tolerated either way.
Yeah. An extreme introvert and an extreme extrovert are both not quality ways of. I don't know which is better. They're probably equally.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's a sliding scale. There's no such thing as perfect.
Right.
These people that chase utopia and stuff, and think everything's all lush. It's like, no, because even that would drive you nuts because you just wouldn't feel it was right. The part of your animal brain just wouldn't accept the program.
No, it's always a work in progress, isn't it?
That's life, though.
Yeah.
That's the journey. We're all on a journey,
Always trying to get a little bit better, but you're never going to get to where it's perfect, for sure. Yep. Yeah.
But I just love the way the aunt, they won't talk about their mother. They won't, there's a whole this has been a bone of contention
Yeah.
And the brother and sister have two ways of dealing with stuff, completely different. Chalk and cheese. God, the uncle, I can't remember his name. But he went over the board to create a big, jolly, happy, thriving family. Almost to overcompensate for his own mother, if that makes sense.
Right. Right.
Which is
Yeah.
why the family's the way it is. He wanted the big house, he wanted the barbecues, he wanted the family get-togethers because he yearned for that. Growing up, Darlene, I can sort of see he's more like her mother, and she retreats. Her option is to retreat and
Yeah.
keep to yourself, and that's being
But
yourself with siblings. Siblings are completely different. That's why most siblings don't get along
yeah.
because they're
But what
usually completely different personalities.
Yeah. But what I love, what was kind of a twist to what my initial idea is, that she had gone crazy from these premonitions and things like that. She wasn't. She was this is Iris, the grandmother. She was actually the most sane, and she was writing down, she was trying to learn as much as she could, and she knew she had to stay alive to keep her family safe because of the way it goes in order. Which
Bloodlines, legacy, something
yes.
beyond yourself.
Yes. So she was actually the most
Nobility.
noble and sacrificing for the rest of them. And she tried to stay in touch with them. She sent them letters. She gave them warnings. She, like it was really a twist on what I initially thought was going to be the reveal, is that she's gone, somewhat crazy because of these nightmares. So again, a great callback to prior movies in the way that things happen
There's
in
direct
order.
comparison between Final Destination 2, Clear, and how she
Yeah.
dealt with the
Yeah.
the aftermath of Final Destination 1. And now we've got Eris. I didn't like the way, like I said, it felt more of a plot device. We talked about it. After that scene in the van, it's like the movie didn't know where to go
Yeah.
and relied on gimmicks. A fucking brilliant movie because nobody remembers Final Destination 1. Everyone remembers the logging truck
The logging
and
truck.
the highway scene from Final Destination 2. That's the movie everyone remembers.
Yeah.
That's the
There's
one that's
lots
in
of
the zeitgeist, even with normies.
I think it's the disaster itself. There's a lot
Yeah.
of movies with plane crashes. You
Mm.
don't know any movies with a logging truck. It was so iconic at the time, and the way it
And
was
it's never
shot,
been replicated because it can't.
yeah,
It's always going to be directly compared. You can never do that scene again.
and it was
Nailed it.
beautifully shot. It felt realistic. It didn't seem like CGI, and
I felt that squish.
yeah,
Like when I goes into the truck and you see the blood, I felt the squish.
yeah. And there's not one person who's seen that movie who hasn't been on a highway next to a logging truck that goes pulls you.
We've all done it.
Yeah, yeah. The logging trucks have never had anyone tailgating them since
No.
that movie came out.
Imagine being in a logging truck. You're just like,
Yeah. Oh, you're the
I
king.
rule the world. The highways are mine.
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, direct. Once again, we're seeing them looking at, okay, if we're on, I think there's been an honest conversation about making this movie, and I'm so happy. Like at the end of the day, it's a popcorn flick. It's fun. It's much, but they've actually put a bit of thought into it, and
Yeah.
it's just so refreshing to see. They're like, okay, well, maybe that didn't land as well. How do we make it better? Boom. Get ours and 100% on board with their character.
Yeah, and I guess they were families in some of the other ones, but this one felt more like a family had to protect each other. And when, it was in the other movies, it was more about protecting your friends.
Mm-hmm.
There was the sister in Final Destination 3, but for the most part, I really felt like it was more about like friends, boyfriends, things like that. This one felt more personal because they were trying to protect their legacy, trying to protect their children, their grandchildren, their loved ones, their aunts and uncle. It just felt more personal. It had like a really beautiful underlying message in that way,
Yeah.
And it's tragic, spoiler alert, guys. You shouldn't be watching this if you haven't seen the movie yet.
If somebody
Yeah.
said you spoiled that movie for me, what the
Yeah.
fuck are you watching a review
Yeah.
of a movie you haven't watched it? You pleb. Fuck off.
Yeah. But come back.
Yeah, back
Like and
afterwards.
subscribe.
But if you're an
Yeah.
idiot, don't make it our problem.
Yeah, yeah. Fuck off in a nice way after you like and subscribe.
No,
But
no, no. If you're that stupid, fuck off. Seriously.
oh,
If you're actually that thick, go away. Go on another channel. I'm not in the
but
mood.
but I was just gonna say, like, it's tragic because they were trying so desperately to protect each other. It is tragic how the movie ends. But I mean, that's Final Destination. It's not a
Yeah,
happy
that's
ending.
yeah. Although some of the, I have to say, some of the CGI for some of those scenes, like there's about 3 scenes with CGI, it just makes you go, oh god, no.
To
And
me,
the end scene was one of
yeah,
them, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh. I was getting the final. What was the one in the cinema? The Final Destination, wasn't it?
yeah,
4?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
When the 4 was in the cinema.
Yep.
Yep.
I think 4, which is called The Final, it was really 4. Yeah, it was the cinema.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I was getting flashbacks of that. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. So it's funny. The CGI to me was fine right up into the part where like an object collides with a person. And then the person becomes like jello again. We talked about it. I forget, we used the term in one of the prior reviews, but like they don't quite have down the object collecting with the person. Like there's some resistance. It doesn't like
Yeah.
go through you like a Slimer from Ghostbusters, you know? Like it doesn't seem realistic. The collision part, like
Yeah.
in the past Final Destination movies, like a tire would hit a person and they instantly squish down. Like there's
Yeah.
no, you know.
And the thing is, you can
Squishy.
get that ballistic stuff. Have you
Yeah.
ever seen like what's them shows, Forged and stuff, and Deadliest Warrior and all, where they test weapons over the times and the ballistic gel?
No.
So it's basically it doesn't look like it looks like a mannequin, you know. But I'm sure you could put makeup over the top of it. But they have actually blood and stuff, so that when you stab it with a sword, it actually represents like what happens if you poke a person.
Gotcha.
So you can get those. That stuff's been around for years, and if TV can use it, then just have one of them set up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And go ahead, go to town, and you'll get like proper do we dusting of CGI over the top.
Yeah.
But you'll get the proper splat, you know.
Yeah, unless they think it's like you know, a precedent has been set, like people in Final Destination are super squishy. I don't know. But
I think it's just that, you know, this is only $50 million budget at the end of the day, you know.
Cheap. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's only a couple of times. Like the rest of this movie looks good.
Yeah. And
it's
the
only
CGI,
like 3 times that it sort of jumps out at you.
Yeah, and it's just that one moment of impact. Everything else is fine. Yeah. Like the scene with where the guy with the piercings gets caught and the fan is going. I thought that looked great.
Yeah.
That was, you know, that was terrifying for
That's what that's how Cameron's going to
go. You have always said that.
You said it first. Don't blame me. You said it. There's evidence, there's like comments and stuff.
Oh, I have. Oh, damn it.
Oh, you said it. Check
Did
this guy out.
I really don't remember. That's how bad my memory is. Sorry, Cameron. I hope it really doesn't happen now. Otherwise, I'm a murder suspect.
Cameron's going to have to go into his tattoo shop every day, check for booby traps just because we want to film it. We're not nice people to know. Love you, Cameron.
Love you, buddy.
But it's yeah, we'll go to Aris's house. Stephanie finally goes to Aris's house because the aunt's like, nah, don't look in that drawer, you know.
Yeah. Those letters, yeah.
But if you're going to be crazy old bag lady, then yep, have land and have like a mansion and have, you know, well, super cabin in the woods with spikes. Why would you put spikes? And I don't get the spikes thing.
Well, I think she knew she wasn't leaving the cabin herself. Yeah. So I think that was to keep other people away, people that could bring harmful things to her, you know, like a mailman bringing his car keys and the car keys somehow get flung and slice her neck. I mean, she knew, like, keep everyone away. I think that was just like a fear tactic to keep everyone away. And I thought about the fact that she clearly has enough money where she never had to work and could buy all this ridiculous stuff that's in her front yard. But I was like, you know what probably happened? see if you can stay with, if you agree with me on this. I think that she had all these premonitions that her husband was going to die at a certain order, right? The way the accident happened on the Skyview. So she knew when he was next and that she couldn't protect him forever. So she probably talked him into buying a shitload of life insurance, right? Because she knew that eventually this thing was going to catch up to her husband. So that's where I'm thinking all the money came for all this, you know? He had the
Yeah, it has to be something because you have to make the money first before you get to live the transient lifestyle.
Yeah.
You
It's
don't
no
start out.
fun. Yeah, it's no fun being crazy and poor.
Yeah,
It's only fun if you're one of the two.
yeah. If you're going to be crazy rich and loads of toys
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
spikes if that's your thing.
Yeah. Excuse me just one second. I'll be right back. Right back.
Cool. But
Sorry.
yeah, that was, and also Aris's house, it just looks CGI, the whole thing, because it is ridiculous. The whole gates and the spikes coming out of it, and just the big, almost like haunted house, painted thing set up in the driveway and the big electronic gates and stuff. It's just way out there. But makes sense. But yeah, we find out that Aris then has essentially isolated herself. She's figured out what's happening, the death. And we find out, and that's another thing that did as well with the premonition. We don't find out straight away it's a premonition. It's only when Stephanie goes to Aris's house, tracks Aris down, goes to her place, that we'll realize that the events at the Skyview restaurant actually happened. So this is where we find out, yes, she did stop the disaster. And we get a flashback. And they haven't done it this way before. And it's little choices like this that keep a franchise fresh. There's a certain formula that it's a Final Destination movie, but just doing something like this, that it's actually a flashback. So when Stephanie's talking to Aris explains that yes, she was up, that actually already went up. She got the premonition that the wee lad was going to throw the coin and it's going to set up a whole chain of events. So she grabs the coin off Bratty Kid, runs to the dance floor. Yeah, the whole scene as well. We've got the tempered glass floor and the chandelier, and it's like unstoppable force, immovable object, which is going to go first. But yeah, she screams and gets it right. Stop dancing, and the fact that people are dancing as well, and there's cracks appearing on the floor, and nobody's thinking, oh, like, but ridiculous. But then again, I suppose you've enough champagne in you. They're giving away loads of free champagne, so I suppose you're bevied up enough. You don't care. You're not even thinking and having fun. But yeah, that was cool. Sorry, I don't want to jump ahead too much, but we have, like I said, that whole scene and the fact that Aris has made this huge book. Now, they need to package that book up. These are it's a bit like the Necronomicon. I think they need to package that book up and make it available, like as a collector's item. There's something about leather bound books, like filled with stuff, is just great. I don't know. Maybe it's because watching fantasy movies and stuff, and you're thinking of a spell book. I think that's what the image evokes. When you see some big leather bound book, you're thinking like tome of rituals and magic and so forth. And this is essentially Aris, she's gone through all these things. But then again, it makes you wonder as well. She has been in this isolation. Where is she getting this? Is she getting deliveries? Is she getting newspapers? Is she getting all, it just doesn't, that's a wee bit of, you have to suspend disbelief and just realize that she's going for it, because maybe she was still out in the world while she was making these discoveries when the death started happening. They sort of gloss over that bit. But she must have gathered up enough information before she went into isolation, because it wouldn't make sense in her position to get all that, the newspaper clippings and stuff. She'd have to be out in the world. So I think she built this tome, this collection together first, then went into isolation. I think that would make sense, because it wouldn't happen the other way. Yeah, there's a whole scene with Aris, the flashback Aris, in the restaurant and stuff, and there's one of the performing artists, and there's a wee kid, and we kind of get a bit of a hint. You know, I mean, if you're paying attention, you kind of know who the kid turns out to be. Sorry, mate, I wasn't jumping ahead. You're muted. You're muted.
I apologize. Yeah, no problem. You're getting up to Bloodworth?
No, not yet. I
Kid?
was staying in Aris's house. I was just explaining how
Yeah.
she must have put that tome together, that book, before she went into isolation, because she couldn't have happened the other way around.
I didn't think about that.
Because I mean, you wouldn't get all the newspapers, you wouldn't get any, you wouldn't be able to research stuff if you've isolated yourself. So she's done all this. Obviously, the deaths have started happening. Everyone involved in the restaurant, and then she's.
Yeah, she did say something that she hadn't left her house in 20 years. So I'd have to look more closely at it and see when the newspaper clippings were from.
This franchise is about 25 years old, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So that would kind of, once the plane accident happened and that there, I would have, that would make sense for the first couple of movies, that she's got to a point and then she's like, no, I need to save my family. The longer I stay alive, the longer I stay alive.
That's interesting, because there's two movies that tie back to the plane crash. Obviously, the original, and then Final Destination 5. So I wonder if when she says she hasn't left the house in 25 years, it's kind of similar to when the first movie came out, which was 2000. But I wonder if that incident, she saw that in the newspaper and how everyone died right after.
And then also, this has been happening all the way up.
Yeah. But that might be like, you know what? Like, now things are getting really bad. I have to just lock myself in this place.
And also the order, because she was the last. Don't forget, she was the last person to die in the Skyview.
Right. So once the second to last. Once the second. Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying she's watching everybody else, their families getting taken out.
Right. So once she sees the second to last person before her die, she knows that she's next. Now she really has to isolate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, she turned out to be a very noble character. She sacrificed her life and her family to try to protect them. And even with her ultimate sacrifice at the end, realizing that her granddaughter's not going to believe her, she's going to leave and she's never going to come back. I have to show her what this thing is capable of, and that's why she lets herself.
Even the same when the door blows open and then the lamp turns around and like starts magnifying to burn the. Put a pin in that, because that becomes relevant later, into the hanging herbs or something, whatever she has.
Yes,
and she's like, "Nice try, Death," and swings the lamp.
Yeah. Wow, very, very cool. And imagine, like, all day long, you have to keep watching for stuff like that. Terrifying.
But then that's where her character makes more sense, and Claire's didn't. Claire's just doing it and she's just driving herself to Lally, and it's like, well, you may as well just step out and take it.
Yeah.
That than living the way you're living, because you're not alive. You're just living in misery. You may as well not bother.
Right.
Give me one good year than 20 miserable ones.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Go out with a bang and smile on my face. Fair enough. Yeah, at least I had a good run. Than just 20 years of living in constant fear and terror and just almost animalistic,
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
But Aris has a purpose. And that's, that makes up for it. When you have a purpose and you see people living their lives and your lineage or whatever, people continuing on, then you're doing it for a reason. It's something more than yourself.
Yeah.
That can keep you going. And that's a lost message today. Everyone is so narcissistic these days. It's all about me, 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 me. And people don't understand the joy of actually wanting to build something or create something or do something bigger than yourself.
Right.
People don't understand. That's why everything's gone to shit now, because everyone's so self-centered.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, but then we get the noble sacrifice. Aris decides, right, you have to see this.
She knew that was the only way, and she did have cancer, but she could have lived for a longer time. In fact, it's funny. It's not funny, but the character of Bloodworth tells Stephanie that he's been in touch with Iris and that he put her on to the best people to try to help with her condition. I think that's how he phrased it. So she could have lived for another year or two, who knows? But she knew that this was the only way that Stephanie was going to believe her. And that's why it's even more tragic at the end that it was for naught. You know, like Stephanie really couldn't, she tried, but she really couldn't prolong any of their lives much longer. Right. I mean, I think it's like 3 days later. If you think about
just the whole set of events just kicked into place.
Actually, there was like a prom or something at the end, so maybe there was a few weeks at the end. Or
found this, the cutscene in the Paris, the first one.
Yeah,
they did that sort of so many months later, but the actual events of this,
right,
were basically set in motion. And then also, this is something they did cleverly as well, because of personified death, and death is vindictive. That's why every death, every kill is gruesome, because he feels cheated. It's out of anger. The entity of death is angry that, I'll just say, the entity of life has messed with his plan.
Yeah.
And it's that's why he's being so horrible. He's just proven a point with the way, like, there's 100 ways, like 100,000 ways to die. But the way he goes about it is proving a point that you can't stop me, and you can try, but at the end of the day, I will get mine. How dare you mess with my plans?
Well, that's exactly what the character of Bloodworth, who I always felt was like a lens into the plans of death. He seemed to be the only character throughout these movies that had any idea of what was really happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he used the term something to the effect of, if you fuck with death, it gets messy.
Yeah.
Something like that. So yeah, it's right. It's not just he could kill everyone with cancer or an aneurysm on the same day, but no, he wants it to be like a punishment.
Visual punishment, terror, basically, you will fear me, and you will not mess with my plans.
Yes. Yeah. Which, I mean, what choice did the people have? Like the people who have these premonitions, are they supposed to say, I mean, that's your plan, I'm just a lowly mortal, if that's
once
the plan.
Again, where are the premonitions coming from? That's what I'm saying about the two opposing forces.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, it could be touched into. I think there's room in this. If they're going to go ahead with the franchise, I think there's room to have that brought into the storyline. That'll refresh it again.
Yeah. I could see that. I would watch that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to know the deeper machinations behind some of these things.
Well, that's again. There's, like you said, there's rules in place, so death could not go after the rest of the family.
Right.
Until Iris was taken out.
Yeah.
But boy, does he! Bloody hell.
Yeah. But the kid that was a half sibling.
Oh, that was Eric. Yeah, that was a brilliant revelation.
He wasn't supposed to die, and he died. So I mean, death happens all the time anyway.
Yeah.
But when it goes.
But is that what he's getting back?
Oh, as like a punishment to Stephanie kind of thing.
No, but a punishment. Don't mess with my plans. And one.
That's a great point, because who's that? Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the kid with the piercings?
Yeah.
He's trying to enact a plan to bring the brother, give him the peanut allergy, and have him go on the brink of death, and then bring him back. So that is messing with death. That's probably, you're right. That's probably.
We'll have to talk about the uncle.
Yeah. Oh, the uncle was so great. I love their uncle.
I love the way the movie's playing with you. Like the rake and everything else, and Darlene, all that thing, and you're just waiting for, okay, how's this going to work?
Yep. And you think of the trampoline somehow, right?
Yeah. and the bit of glass, you're just, it's just playing with you, and you're like,
yeah. But in the end, it wasn't the glass. It wasn't
Well, it
the
was the glass
transformer.
because he stood in the glass.
That's what made him fall down. But
Yes.
I would say that the death was mostly caused by the lawnmower.
I would say that, yeah, the lawnmower might be a contributing factor.
A contributing factor. Yeah. It's funny, and it's really become an epidemic, these lawnmower deaths. I have to say, over 1 American a decade gets injured with lawnmowers like this, and it's terrible. Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't watch? Oh no, Zarek and I did Frankenhooker. Oh
yeah, no.
that was our lawnmower death. That's movie so funny. You have to watch it.
Okay.
You have to just watch it. It's just carnage. Have you seen Basket Case? The same director of the Basket Case.
No.
I think we should try and get Eric on, and we'll do the Basket Case trilogy unless he wants to do it in his channel. You need to be involved in those movies. They're fun. They're just
all right
out there, bonkers, daft madness.
I like it.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll get the whole flashback, and then the little boy. I called it. I'm like, that's Bloodworth. That's the connection. That's what they're gonna do.
Yeah. Which was a beautiful tie-in, because up until now, Bloodworth was just this, amorphous figure. You're not really sure how he knows what he knows, or how he's involved at all, why he cares about these people. Is he an agent of death, but he's not actually killing anyone?
No, because remember Final Destination 5, he says, I don't know what the plan is. I'm just here to clean up the mess afterwards.
Yes.
And that was the definitive line, because if you think, once again, back to Final Destination 2, when he had the scene in the morgue and it was all like the fog machine and the bright lights and stuff, he looked like you thought he was deaf, and they were like almost competing with him. Like they really set it up there, and then they fucking relegated him to voiceover in 3, and then cut him out of 4 completely. The bunch of bastards.
That pisses me off. Yeah.
The arseholes didn't know what they had. Fucking 2 movies of like, imagine cutting him out completely. He was such a mainstay of this thing, but he got it paid forward. This movie treated him with respect, and his character with respect.
Yeah,
and you can't argue with it. It's once again, it's good storytelling.
It's great storytelling, and the franchise is all about hidden clues to trying to discover death's design.
Yep, how it's going to happen. That's part of the fun of watching these movies.
Yeah, and I think that Tony Todd left us a final message hidden in this movie, and it got me thinking if I could find it.
Did you start thinking again?
I did. It doesn't happen often. Once every 2 weeks. But I got thinking.
You know what happens when you get thinking, don't you?
I sure do, my friend.
Let's do it. It's a theory. It's a Chris. It's a theory.
Chris's crazy theory.
You got to be able to see my antenna.
Let's do it.
The antenna should be up, right? So the signals can come in.
So you can, get the right radio.
The radio's definitely over
I'm not telling you what that looks like right now.
I know. I was just thinking that too. We got to make that less dong-like.
It's just to be covered your headphones with that, but I would just miss.
They're gonna have to blur this out. All right. Well, yeah, you just got to pretend that it's not a dong. All right. But Tony Todd deserves better. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that I could see the clues that he left throughout these movies to leave one final beautiful message to us. And I'll walk you through it and see if you at home can see the clues as I see them. So we start with the great character of William Bloodworth. He's iconic. All right. So one thing you have to know, though, about Tony Todd is he was more than just this great character. He had so many iconic roles. Candyman, just an amazing career.
Night
But
of
he
the
was
Living Dead, like he was
yes.
yeah,
You
that
probably
was his breakout role, like bloody hell.
Yeah, you probably could rattle them off better than I. But I also remembered him from another franchise, one that he loved himself, called Star Trek. And in Star Trek, he was a big Star Trek fan, Tony Todd. He played multiple characters throughout the different, iterations of Star Trek universe. And this one is a Klingon character, Kern, which was Worf's brother. So one thing that it's important to know about his love of Star Trek is he knew there was a way of giving messages in that series, and that was the captain's log. And this is going to become important in a sec, because this is part of the hidden message that he left for all of us, the great Tony Todd. So let's start with Final Destination. All right. The message starts.
Those teenagers, isn't it?
Yeah, look how young they look. Right?
It was just they've got that 2000s look about them. It's amazing how certain generations people look a certain way.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So Tony Todd's final message to us starts here with the word final. Very easy. Tony Todd wanted to start off easy so that we could follow along with his message. So Final Destination 2. In Final Destination 2, it features the famous disaster sequence with the logs that we talked about, which was so great. So the hidden message here was just log. Final log, just like the captain's log. Final Destination 3, the hidden message as I see it here was the disaster scene of the roller coaster, and Tony Todd's message here, it's been a roller coaster. Final Destination 4, or what they call the Final Destination. The main disaster scene involved this race car situation and the tire.
The super heavy tires that weigh like 3 metric tons each.
Yes.
Make people go squish.
So the hidden message here, I'm getting tired. That was the hidden message that he left it here. Final Destination 5, 3D, if you want to see it in 3D. The big disaster scene was the bridge, and the hidden message here that Tony Todd left us, it's time to cross the Great Bridge. In this movie, he actually says his words, which is part of the message. Some of it's easy for us to find out. Part of his message, enjoy every single second. Those were part of the iconic words that he said to his fans in this unscripted moment in this movie, Final Destination Bloodlines. Great character, William Bloodworth throughout. The word worth is key in that. Your life has worth. That was his message with his character. Finally, Final Destination Bloodlines, the one we're talking about, takes place on the sky view. Hidden message there. The sky's the limit. You put it all together. Final log. It's been a roller coaster, but I'm getting tired. It's time to cross the Great Bridge. Enjoy every single second. Your life has worth, and the sky's the limit. I salute you, sir. Rest in peace, and thank you for all you've given us.
Yeah.
My theory.
Yeah, I can see that. Just I could imagine just having like little clues, but yeah, a bit of a different theory. We lost if you're a horror fan, you can't be a horror fan and not know about Tony Todd. Like, he's absolute icon, without a doubt. And
well done, sir. Great job, Mr. Todd. Thank you.
Here's an example of somebody's legacy living longer than them. Like, we'll still be talking about him for years.
Yes.
Younger new horror fans will get into the genre and discover Tony Todd, and they'll be better for it.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Well, there you go, folks.
It's a theory. It's a Chris. It's a theory. Chris's crazy theory.
Yeah, bit of a bittersweet one, that. But of course, we can't talk about this movie without mentioning it's a final performance of Tony Todd, and it's
Yeah,
become quite obvious that he knew he was on his way out, and the cast and the directors and everybody knew it was basically he wasn't getting back in the chair. There was no other movie after this, and he just did not know how much time he had left.
yeah, you could tell he knew that the end was near, and apparently the director, and you had sent me this article too. The director had said, "Just say whatever you want in this moment to the characters, but also to your fans." And what he said was, "You never know how much time you have left." I'm paraphrasing. Live every second. And I was just moved by that, and that's when.
No, I got here right. I intend to enjoy the time I have left, and I suggest you do the same. Life is precious. Enjoy every single second. You never know when. Good luck.
It's
Like,
fucking beautiful. It's beautiful, and I was moved, and so my theory
yeah,
was
I'll not lie. Yeah, there's a wee bit of I was
yeah.
cutting onions. It's like, oh shit.
My theory was in no way making light. It was of this great man and great character. It was just a tribute to him. The Final Destination is all about hidden messages. I thought that was a beautiful underlying message throughout the movies in a way that would be something that I hope he would have enjoyed.
I like the fact that they gave us character. No, they obviously knew this is not a surprise. Holy shit when you see him, like he is thin. Like it has to be, it must be cancer. Must have been cancer or some form. Obviously, we don't need to bribe. The
Right.
family want to tell us, they want to tell us. If they don't, they don't. But
Yeah, exactly.
that's usually somebody's going through cancer. You know, usually ends up in that stage. You just saw him, and it's like, holy crap! Like he's not the same man.
Yeah,
And the fact that they were able to get is that able to get that scene from him, and the fact that they thought of this and they thought they'd be respectful, because Hollywood is not respectful anymore. That's the problem. They're absolute shitbags.
yeah,
And the fact that they actually took a moment and thought, okay, let's actually be respectful, and I think they're learning as well. You don't mess with horror fans as well, because you just never hear the end of it. Like if they could do it the other, they probably if it was another franchise, the
the
Star Trek
CGI him or
universe even
something.
mention him.
Yeah, or they'd CGI and put him in different things.
Fucking snubbed them from the Oscars as well. You know what I mean? The fucking big awards
Yeah.
snubbed them. The fucking the mainstream are dickheads.
Yeah,
But there's something, if you are a horror creator, you're in the horror universe, you understand that you're dealing with a different sort of person.
yeah,
And I think there's always been that unwritten rule of, yeah, these are not the fans you want to mess with, or you're toast. Horror fans are very forgiving of, we know that most films are low budget, low esteem. You know, I mean, you're not going to be high esteem being a horror fan or talking about horror movies. That's
yeah,
just the way the mainstream will always look down their nose at you. There's an understanding that this is the way it is. So there is an awful lot of forgiveness. But if you push that, yeah, you're never coming back. And I'm just glad that the people behind this movie had the foresight to at least wrap up as not just have him come in, but actually wrap up a storyline as well.
right.
And then they joined him with Aris, as in two people shared an experience. And it just, once again,
Beautiful.
if you just write a good story,
Yeah,
you have to do.
it was a great.
Everything else falls into place. And I'll sing this movie's praises. I had fun. And I also got emotionally because of knowing about Tony. And most of us are watching this, let's be honest. Most of us were watching this just to see Tony Todd's last scene.
Yeah,
One last hurrah, so to speak.
yeah. I
You know
thought
what I mean?
I thought it was beautiful. I would have liked. I know this is very unrealistic, and it would have gone against what the franchise has always been about. So it probably would have been jarring, but I would have liked for him to have saved Stephanie at the end somehow. I don't know how. I don't know physically if he was up to doing an action scene.
No, he's like, I think
Yeah.
I took a lot out of him to do that.
Yeah, yeah,
The fact that he can even set up from his chair, and that you can just tell that he was. And I saw the photograph. When I saw the photograph of the cast sitting with him in the middle, you're like, fuck, they all knew. They
Yeah.
knew.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
You just see that, and you're like, shit, this is going to be emotional.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah. I just I don't know. I think it's a minor gripe because I absolutely love the movie. I just would have liked to have seen if all of these lessons, all of these sacrifices would have somehow paid off, even if it was just one character being saved. The fact that the Stephanie and her brother, get killed, although killed by logs, which is great at the end. I would have liked to have seen them win. That's just me. I'm an optimist. I kind of want to see the good guy win, but they stayed with their,
But that's once
franchise
again,
model.
don't wimp out. You know what makes this franchise great. You know what people
Yeah.
enjoy. It's a horror movie. Yeah,
I know.
nobody's safe. The minute you start making safe people, you ruin it. They did it with I didn't even watch it, but I heard they did it with The Exorcist Believer, that shitty one that David Gordon Green produced. Oh, gotta save the can't. It's indently politics. We can't kill this one, so nobody had any connect. Oh right, we know what's going to happen. Fine.
Yeah.
Ruins it. You need that sense of nobody's safe. They do it with the final girl trope. Sometimes that's why I had to mix it up a bit and have a couple of girls, because once you knew who the final girl was,
Yeah.
you've lost investment. You know exactly how it's going to go. You've lost
Right.
that sense of danger.
Right.
When they stop making characters that you can relate to and just make them wooden planks, you lose that sense of danger because you just don't care.
Yeah. But I think knowing that this was going to be possibly the final of the movies, the finalist destination, I don't know. I would have liked to have seen all of Iris's sacrifices have merit in I don't know.
But did she understand? Can you understand death? Is there? No, I mean that's when you're unlocking sorcery. If you can master death, you're a sorcerer.
Right.
So, are there any human sorcerers about? Do you know what I mean?
It's tough to see him.
That's the eternal question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that whole idea as well of we're just a blip in the universe. We don't know how much time we have left.
Right.
It's death is part of life. That's the acceptance, and it's people that don't accept that death is part of life are the ones that twist their heads up.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's that's one of the earliest lessons, and that's what horror movie does. Horror tales, not just movies, but horror as a genre does. It teaches you that death is part of life.
Yeah.
And there's things that are out of your control. And yeah, this was Aris's entire life work, but it's still a blip. It's one human lifespan. It's it's a blip in the universe. So,
but I mean, I still love the movie. I love all the choices they made. I love how they took a character of Bloodworth that's a 25-year-old character and gave it a fun backstory that actually made sense.
mm-hmm.
And now if you rewatch the previous movies, it all ties in, which is tough to do. A lot of times, they come up with a backstory that works for the current movie when you talk about sequels.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, that's interesting. But then it doesn't really add up when you rewatch the previous movies. This actually does. It does make sense why he's at the scene of all these, events, because he has premonitions too, just like Iris does, having been, so close to this tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's seeing a lot of it too. I loved it. I loved everything this movie did. They did a great job.
Yeah, and then that's when they'll have the plan. We'll have the jogging scene with Eric's sister, because I think Eric's gonna, that's what they run back to say. Eric's next, he's gonna get it. This is the only scene that just makes me, just it was borderline going stupid dumb.
with the garbage truck.
Yeah, with Eric, the way the dialogue and them trying to tell him, and
Oh
he's
yeah,
acting like an absolute tool.
yeah. And he starts humping the the tire on the garbage truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was, you know, a fun character that was really towing the line between
That's what I'm saying.
being,
It was just
annoying. Yeah. Yeah.
pulled it back. He pulled it back though.
Yeah.
But yeah, when the sister goes out for a jog and then she gets someone flipped into the thing, and her death scene was great, actually.
Oh my gosh, the way her head got squeezed like a grape. Oh my
Yep.
gosh. Yeah.
And like when it's happened to her, all of a sudden the cockiness just goes poof,
Yeah.
out the window.
But I love how Stephanie saw it all happening. It's almost like a superpower
Mm-hmm.
that she could see like this weird chain of events, and she was right about it. It just she couldn't prevent
But
it.
the wee guy from remember, that's all the ones that have the premonition see it. You know,
Right.
That's been a recurring theme that they don't know exactly, but they see the the wind blows or something, and they kind of see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
A page flips over. It's all everyone gets it in different ways.
Yeah, that's why I feel like they took like a little parts of each movie and made it they brought it into this one without having to reference, oh, I saw this article about this kid who learned that, like they didn't need that exposition. It just little bits kind of filtered in where you felt like it was a continuous franchise. It was without member berries, as you called it, they still gave tribute to prior movies by adding those little pieces. And the reference to New Life and the reference to if you kill someone, you take their time.
Yep.
Like these are all from prior movies that factored in without being over the head.
Yeah, and there was a freaking all these. I don't know whether it's the reporters going looking for them or what, but there's all these B-list, the ones that were like part characters in the movie going, it didn't include me, they didn't invite me back, it didn't invite me back.
Yeah.
You're nobody. Fuck off. You're only the one that actually gave birth. She was a side character, she wasn't even really in it. In Final Destination 2, you didn't invite me back. Why? What do you think this movie's going to be? Just invite every fucker back, that's have scenes on them? Piss off.
No, yeah. It wasn't. I'm glad they didn't do that.
No, that would have been horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what they do. That's been the trend in horror, not horror, in Hollywood. Member berries and key jangling and not actual writing stories. At least these guys went, let's write a story and then we'll worry about the rest later.
Yeah. Because the only way you could have worked is to have her give some information and be that type of character. But you didn't need it because you had Iris and you had Bloodworth.
Yeah.
So you don't need a third person to tell about Death's plan.
No exposition dumps, but don't need it.
Exactly. That's why it wouldn't have worked. If you didn't have Iris and you didn't have Bloodworth, then yes, her character could have merit. But those were the two best parts of the movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, they made the right choice for sure.
But no, this is the scene in the hospital. I actually really enjoy it. The fact that after the sister's death. Oh, why didn't you die? Oh yeah, because I had the fur. Just fucking drops it there. Just fucking. Yeah. I know these are all traumatized enough, but yeah, I'm a dirty hoe, and I went around the block.
The best was when she says the name of the guy, and I didn't write it down, but the name of who the real father is, and he's like, "That guy? Is that why he always wanted to have a catch with me?" It's just funny. It had like the perfect amount of comedy where it didn't take away from the horror of what was going on and the tenseness, but it just added little bits of lightheartedness. It was a very good balance. They really nailed it. Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why it's getting such good Rotten Tomato scores, is that the balance of tragedy, horror, and comedy was perfectly done.
Yeah. Write a good story. I'm not saying boring, just saying the same thing over and over again, but this is what I've been preaching for near 5 years at this point in this channel.
Yeah.
Just write a good story. That's the cheapest part, is to have the imagination. Putting words in paper physically doesn't cost money. It's time and effort and having the right people.
Yep.
And if that bit's good, everything else, because if you have a vision and you have, it's coherent, it's amazing how many people you can bring on board.
Yeah,
People see what you're about and your story and everything else, and know the direction you're going. You naturally attract people who see what you see, and this is a key ingredient that's been missing for nearly 10 years now in movie making.
yeah.
The storytelling.
If I was a producer and a studio said, we're going to give you 40 million to spend however you want, and this is the type of movie we want, first thing I would do, the priority is spend the most, not the most amount because they don't make as much, but the focus would be on the writing.
Mm-hmm.
Once I got the writing, it would be the directing, then the actors, and then the CGI. I think in that order. I think the writing is the main thing. I really do. This movie didn't have any actors aside, any known actors besides Tony Todd.
No, and they were all competent. They weren't. You weren't getting like superstar performances. Even Tony Todd was it was a muted, but it was because of the weight.
Right.
Even his performance, and understandably so, I'm not ripping into it, but he gave a standard. He gave the best performance he could, but it was nothing like.
It was a minute. It was a minute of the movie.
You think of some of his dialogue in the Candyman movies and stuff. They're proper, iconic. But he just gave and the fact that it was ad libbed as well. What do you want to say? And he did it.
Yeah.
But that's that doesn't matter because it did what it needed to do, but it was part of a strong story. And when it's part of a strong story, that's it. It all works.
Exactly.
If this was a cheesy member Barry, key jangling, fucking, nostalgia baiting piece of crap, then Tony Todd's last scene would have been crap as well. It doesn't matter how well he would have done it because you're already noped out and you're just like, they're just, they're dancing on his grave. Would have been saying that. You bastards, you danced on his grave just to fucking get your movie because it didn't put any, if it hadn't have put any effort in.
Yeah, it could have gone south.
It would have had the opposite effect rather than we wouldn't have felt what we felt. But because there's a story and you felt like they wanted to entertain you, like that's what I got from this movie. I felt like they wanted me to have a good time.
Yeah.
And then when we got that just, it just felt right.
100%. Yeah.
And then it's a story. But like I said, we'll get just dropping in the fact. I wasn't expecting that. That compared to nowhere.
What's that?
The mother going, oh, yeah, I'll shag someone else. Yeah, you're not.
Oh, yeah.
It just sorry. Because she wasn't, it's the brother that was part of the bloodline, not her.
Right.
So the fact that Eric, basically came out of the bloodline, because that's why he survived the tattoo shop.
Right.
That was cool as well. The fact that the trailer showed you a death scene.
Right. And then it wasn't.
You're like, oh, right, okay, that's fucking clever. Complete misdirect.
Yeah, they did one or two throughout the franchise. There was the one with the gymnastic scene where you thought it was going to be, I forget which
that was 3.
That might have been 3.
Yeah, it was 3 because she was doing it after the crash, and it was the fan. Remember the fan was going to come out?
Right.
Yeah.
It might have been
going to be the bar.
It might have been 5 because of the bridge. She might have been one of the bridge survivors.
No, I think it was 3. I think. It was,
okay. I'll go with you. But whatever it was, the gymnastic scene from the Final Destination franchise, when you thought it was going to be the fan, you thought it was going to be like the condensation or an electrical fire, or there was like something that she's going to step on. Like they kept teasing you and playing it out where you didn't know.
Final Destination 3, yeah, gym scene.
Oh, good call.
Yeah, it's 2 gym scenes.
Okay.
Oh wait, hang on. Yeah. Oh, sorry, wrong. My mistake. Final Destination 5 is the acrobat. Yeah, the gymnast.
Yeah, it was.
Final Destination 3 is the gym scene.
Yes, I meant the gymnastics scene.
Oh, right, sorry. Yeah,
I should
Final
have said
Destination 3 is the gym scene where he's like, "Yeah, I'm unbeatable."
Yes,
the gymnastics scene is Final
That
Destination
I
5.
thought that
Sorry,
one
my
they
apologies.
did.
I just had that.
That's okay. I should have said gymnastics, but yeah, that one was great because they teased you with the condensation, the fan, the electrical fire potential. Like you didn't know what was going to do it, and I thought this one did a great job with that as well. And then in the end, he survives it.
Final Destination 3 was teasing you with the swords. Remember, they thought he was going to get
Yes,
his head chopped off with the
yes,
swords,
that's true.
but
They
it
did
wasn't.
that.
It was the weights just went
Yeah.
bang.
Yeah, that's always been a highlight of these movies when they.
Yep.
It's not obvious what's going to kill him. Yeah.
No, but you're getting led. So you're just that's what I said. It is like being on a roller coaster. Like whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa. Ah!
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but the hospital scene then when he decides he's going to save his, he gets over. I'm surprised how quickly he gets over the fact that his mother's a whore. But anyway,
He's more upset that his dad is like a loser. He's like, oh, that guy.
yeah, like makes no sense. But anyway, yeah, he loves his brother at the end of the day, and that's once again family bonds.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, he decides, right, we're going to get you going to anaphylactic shock. That'll bump you back to life.
Yeah.
That's it, blah blah blah. I love the peanut scene. Actually, he's like, well, if I'm going out, I'm not having them things. I'm having one of these.
Yeah. That was great.
It's like
He's like, this is delicious.
I was trying to figure out, because once again that teased you because the vending machine he's rocking is like the spring goes out, goes dong. I'm like, it's gonna be the spring. Oh, he's gonna fall. No. Once again, we're going through the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't realize that MRI machines had turbo blast mode just for shits and giggles.
Was that made at CERN at the Hydro Collider or whatever they call that?
It's like this settings for civilians need special code. Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Beep, 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 beep. Special code unlocked. Turbo power.
That was fun though.
Yeah.
With all those piercings come out. That was fun. Oh man.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it was a great balance of horror and comedy. Yeah.
That's it, because you need to bring yourself down. That's what the comedy does. It brings you down, so it comes back up again. You're like, oh, it's all playing in the motions.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, the thing. I know what. We'll go back to Aris's house. We'll live our other lives in isolation. And then once again, I saw the setup from the beginning with the pot plant.
Yes. That was a great callback. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. That's I think my favorite death of the whole movie though still has to be the MRI machine. But there was some good ones throughout. But the MRI machine is like oh, here's the origin story of Magneto from X-Men.
Yeah.
But no, that was good. And that was cool with the that was another great twist. That's a great writing, like you said. The idea where Stephanie is trapped and she's drowning, and then the brother saves her life, but then there's the reveal at the end where she just lost consciousness. She never actually flatlined. That was cool.
Because you can't bring someone back. The whole point of CPR is not to bring people back. It's to keep the body, oxygen going around the body until it has to be a defib. You know what I mean? Because the electrical impulses need to be restarted again, or has to be adrenaline or something. The whole point of CPR is purely to keep the body ticking over until the next stage of whatever that is happens.
Gotcha.
There's so many movies. That was a mistake we made in the movies that they think that you can bring people back and stuff, and it's a complete misnomer.
Yeah, the only one that really I thought did a good job trying to get that part right was the Flatliners, the first one with
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, yes.
God,
Kevin Bacon and Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah,
that was good.
There's two movies, Flatliners and The Butterfly Effect. I remember watching, but I can't remember them for the life of me because there's been like 1,000 odd movies in between.
There was a sequel too, which was not as good.
There's both those had sequels, but I can't remember them because it just
the original Flatliners was like these advanced medical students trying to like push the limits
and visit death and come back. And then when
Yeah.
they come back, yeah. Like I said, I know the
Yeah.
movie. I've seen it,
Yeah.
but it's just been that long that
But that would have been the way to try to save the family. Something way more medically you know, proficient than just give him a nutter butter.
but that was clever. No, but that was clever as well.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, okay, we're doing this ourselves. Nobody's going to actually do it. Blah blah blah. You know, no
Yeah.
medical professional is going to kill someone and bring them back with no evidence because that, you know, oh, this bound book by crazy lady who lived in a house full of spikes. Yeah, no one's going to do that.
Yeah.
But the fact at the end that the whole motorhome and she's drowning and gets resuscitated, she thinks she's beaten it. Because once again, that is that's a common myth with CPR. So that plays nicely. And the fact the paramedic went, no, actually, that's not what happens. You were unconscious, but you were still alive. Oops. It's almost like death's waiting. You know, that's what I mean. They've done it with a story that we know death is personified. Death is a vindictive shit.
I was gonna say Death is a dick.
Yeah, he is a dick. He's
But he waits for them to be afraid before
Yes.
he sends the train after them. He wants that fear. He doesn't want it to sneak up from behind on them.
Yeah, because everyone could just die in their sleep.
Yeah. So had that guy not said anything and they were blissfully ignorant, Death would have waited like 20, 30 more years, whatever it took to get that fear of their realizing that they didn't beat him.
So this is making me think that there's potential for a deeper story.
I would love to see that.
Two entities, death and life.
Yeah.
In constant struggle.
Yeah.
There's Phil on here.
Hi, Phil. I think he's talking about the sequels to Flatliners and Butterfly.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Okay. Yep.
That's when the message popped up. Yeah. And if that's the case, Phil, I agree with you. I watched the sequel to Flatliner, did not care for it.
No, because once again, it's an original idea, it's a concept, and then they just milk it. But that was a thing back in the day as well, the straight to DVD sequels and all, and just this milk. Everything, the idea of the potential for a franchise, everything had to be a franchise, or they try to get sequels out of it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just need a good standalone movie. Just make a good standalone movie, leave it alone, and the rest will take care of itself.
I agree. But this is the opposite of that. This is a sequel that paid homage to the original without member berries and gave it a twist, gave a backstory to Bloodworth. It had heart. It had the idea of family trying to protect itself against an undefeatable enemy. And it was fun. On top of that, it hit the balance of horror and comedy perfectly. So
if you have the secret of this is elevating from humanity to godhood. If you have the secrets of life and death, you're no longer human.
Yeah.
I mean, you've elevated yourself to a demigod of some sort.
Yeah.
If you think about it. So you can don't forget, there's in the real world, there's entire religions and denominations and study of over lifetimes of monks and stuff, various whatever, all over the world trying to solve the mystery of life and death and trying to understand it.
Yeah.
We're no wiser,
100%.
So one crazy lady in a, not crazy, but one lady in a cabin isn't going to do it.
No.
Or a mortician. I wonder if Bloodworth, it's almost like he made a deal with death that he'd clean up afterwards and stay afraid as a warning to let people know what was happening. That's why he got to live as long as he did.
Yeah.
But so once again, there's this, there's a chance here, or this can go in a new, fresh direction. Death, we've focused a lot on death, but we need, I think, these entities almost introduced slowly. They could do 3 or 4 movies of this and start bringing that concept in.
Yeah, I'd like to see it as long as they somehow paid tribute to Tony Todd's character in the next movie without doing a Star Wars thing where they CGI him in.
Oh God, no. I'd be burning. I'd be one of them with a burning torch or pitchfork.
Yeah,
Like, no.
So
We'll be beaten. We'll get in the batter ram, boy. All the horror fans get in the batter ram to the store. The studios go, doof, doof. You will not make this movie. Disrespect.
Where'd you guys get a battering ram? Oh, just down the block.
Yeah, just off that Logan truck.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Even the fact that did that, the fact that that's like, have you seen them going around? Like, they put the pet Logan trucks, they put the poster in the back.
Yeah, that's great.
This is
That's
how you
stupid.
get movies
Yeah.
right. This is how you get
Yes.
the marketing right. This is how you get the vibe right. You don't piss off the fans. You don't call the fans names and blah 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 blah. You just,
Yeah.
I want to tell you, I want you to have a good time. I want you to go into this movie and I want you to have a good time. Plus, we're saying goodbye to a dear friend, which is a massive factor in this movie. And it wasn't overdone. They could have
Yeah.
really cheapened it, but they didn't. Just the right amount.
Yep. I agree. So, I mean, for you people out there watching this live or after the fact, tell Colin what you think. What did you like about this movie? What did you not like? Would you like to see a sequel without Tony Todd, sadly? Or do you think like it should not go any further because, it deserves to, pay tribute to him and end here? I see both sides to it. We want to get your opinion. So, yeah, leave a comment. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I think it's inevitable there'll be another one of these. But if they don't, they're in danger. They can carry on. Like I said, there's enough here of interesting ideas that they can carry on. If they do this level of, and this is not, I would say Oscar winning, but fucking Oscars mean nothing to me anyway. But
Right.
this is not like award winning, change your life storytelling. It's just basic A to B and has a purpose storytelling.
Yeah.
That's about, but that's all you need. Just competency.
Yeah.
And a care, an idea that the people making the thing care, and that's what I got. So
Yeah.
I'm happy.
100%. And characters that you care about there was always I think Final Destination had the idea in some of the sequels that if we make characters that the audience dislikes, then they're going to be cheering and not sad when the characters die. And it works to an extent for a certain type of crowd. But this movie gave us characters that were, good people, family people, brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts. You cared about them, but which actually gave you more stakes in the game. It made you actually like want to root for them to survive, and it worked better in my opinion.
I've always said that about slashers. That's the feeling of the slasher
Yeah.
genres when they make 2D characters.
Yeah.
You don't care. You don't have that emotional connection.
Right. Exactly.
I'll go back to Friday the 13th, the 2013, whatever that was. The intro characters were more likable than the main ones. So I had a bunch of kids come in at the camp, that's supposed to be like 5 years or something before the main characters going. They were more likable and more fun, and you felt for them. And then they put these bunch of wooden planks in a couple of years later, and you didn't like any of them, and you didn't care. And they had this weird convoluted storyline, but that's what happens.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously, if you haven't seen it while you're watching this, go see it. And if you have seen it, let us know what you think, and what you think about the future of the franchise.
Yep. And we had to put, we'll put Critters. We're back in 2 weeks with Critters. We'll put that forward. It just felt right to do this now. So we shunted that one forward. So we'll be back talking about Krites and aliens and face shifters and some 80s goodness.
You can't get a more different movie after this than that.
Yeah. And the hair. Got plenty of 80s hair to talk about.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. There you go, folks. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Chris, thanks as always, mate. Great to have you. And just seems to say, until next time, keep up to date with the channel, do the type of clicking things, and remember to keep it creepy. Keep it horrific.